everybody. Today our team will be talking about the cache model of Switzerland, and we are going to start with the geography. Switzerland is located in the heart of Europe. It shares about 1,935 kilometers of borders with 5 countries like Germany, France, Italy, Austria, and the Principality of Liechtenstein. Switzerland is divided in 3 different geographical zones: the Alps, the Central Plain, and the Jura. The Alps represents around 58% of the national territory, the Central Plain 31%, and the Jura 11%. The Alps occupy the largest part of the country, but only 11% of population lives here. In the Jura, a sparsely populated region, forests and agricultural areas dominate. Located predominantly in the Central Plain, urban areas only occupy slightly more than a quarter of the national territory, but they are home to the majority of the country's population and industrial centers. Settlement and infrastructure areas, handicrafts, industry and transport, supply and evacuation areas, as well as green and rest areas occupy 7.5% of Swiss territory. Agricultural areas around to 40%, and forest and other wooded areas about 30%. Switzerland has abundant in water resources, with these thousands of lakes, approximately 1,500 lakes, and 8 kilometers of rivers. It is home to 6% of the continent's freshwater reserves, and that is why they also call it the Aquifer Reservoir of Europe. Among the known rivers in Europe, the Rhone, the Rhine, the Eno rise in the Swiss Alps. The Ticino and the Eno are tributaries of the Po in Italy and the Danube in Germany. The country is characterized by the richness and the proximity to the urban centers. Despite its small territory, the country has 12 sites inscribed on the World Heritage List. Since the 1990s, Switzerland has been committed to a sustainable transport policy, whose priority is in the transfer to transalpine freight traffic from road to rail. And the country works for the protection of the alpine regions and contributes to the sustainable management of good flows in Europe. And with the new Transalpine Railway and TFA, Switzerland is making an important contribution to European transport policy and working towards rapprochement within Europe. The rail corridor between Rotterdam, Antwerp, and Genoa is one of the most important access for freight transport in Europe, and Switzerland is in the center of this access. And stretching 2,500 kilometers, and this north-south connection connects 2 economic regions, including hubs such as Rotterdam, Amsterdam, Antwerp, Duisburg, Cologne, Frankfurt, Mannheim, Basel, Zurich, Milan, and Genoa, and with the rapprochement between northern and southern Europe, thanks to the completion of the MTFA, Switzerland makes an essential contribution to European transport policy.
Switzerland has a federal system of government at the municipal, cantonal, and federal levels. Direct democracy allows the population to participate directly in decision-making at all political levels. It has 3 political administrative entities: the Confederation, 20 cantons, and 6 semi-cantons. as well as 2,172 municipalities known as communes. The Confederation ensures the internal and external security of the country, endorses the cantonal constitutions, and maintains diplomatic relations with foreign states. Direct democracy is distinctive of the Swiss political systems. These three instruments forms the essence of the direct democracy. First is popular initiative. This offers the public the possibility of submitting proposals for amendment or extension of the constitution. The second is optional referendum. With these instruments, the public can demand that an approved law must be submitted to a popular vote. And the third is mandatory referendum, and every constitutional amendment approved by Parliament is subject to mandatory referendum and therefore requires a favorable vote of the people in order to enter into force. Government executive branch. The president and vice president are elected for a period of 1 year by the members of parliament. Legislative branch. The Federal Assembly is the legislative branch of the Confederation. It is composed of two chambers, the National Council and the Council of States. The National Council is the lower house and represents the people. It is made of 200 parliamentaries elected for a 4-year terms, and the Council of States is a upper chamber and represents the cantons. It is made up of 46 senators who are also elected by the people for a 4-year term. And finally, judicial branch. It is constituted by the Federal Supreme Court, in which the judges are elected by the Parliament for a terms of. In terms of the distance of power, we can say that Switzerland tends to decentralization of power, characterized by being independent, ranking only for convenience, equality of rights, and accessible superiors. As a curious fact, I tell you that in 2 cantons, elections and votes are still held in the main square of the cantonal capital by the Reichstag.
In economic terms, Switzerland is one of the world's most advanced and highly developed free market economies. The service sector has come to play a significant economic role, particularly the Swiss banking industry and tourism. The economy of Switzerland ranked third in the world in the 2050 Global Innovation Index and third in the 2020 Global Competitive Report. According to United Nations data, for 2016, Switzerland is the third richest landlocked country in the world, after Liechtenstein and Luxembourg. The Swiss economic follows the topical developed country model with respect to the economic sector. Only a small minority of the workers are involved in the primary and agricultural sector, while a large minority is involved in the secondary of manufacturing sector. The majority of the world population are involved in the tertiary of service sector of the economy. While most of the Swiss economic practice have been brought larger into conformity with the European Union policies, some trade protection remain particularly for the small agricultural sector, The Swiss currency is called the Swiss franc. Swiss franc is equivalent to about 3,900 Colombian pesos. In the sport, Switzerland is a leading sport of high-end watches and clothes. Swiss company produce most of the world high-end watches. In 2011, sport reached nearly 19.3 billion, up 19.2% over the previous years. The watches go to Asia, 55%, Europe, and 29%, American, 14%, African Oceanian, about 1%. According the economy sector, the agricultural sector contributing 0.7% of the GDP of Switzerland. Also, the sector does not contribute much to the country economy. The economy of Switzerland is driven by the manufacturing industry, which contribute 25.6% of its GDP, and the service industry is Switzerland is mainly driven by tourism and the banking sector. It contributes 73.7% of the country GDP.
Well, about the culture, the Switzerland culture is distinguished for the diversity because there are several European cultures. It is a multilingual country. Its national language includes German, French, Italian, and finally Roman. They also have different dialects in all regions. Each canton has different cultural characteristics and has an artistic culture. It has more than 600 museums. The best known are the Switzerland Museum in Zurich and the Olympic Museum in Lausanne. There are museums that combine entertainment and useful information. Its culture is famous for arts and also for craft. Mainly watchmaking. They has an international clothes museum in which there are more than 4,500 watch. Has an enthusiastic music scene. The most popular instruments are the accordion, the violin, and the clarinet. Every town has at least one traditional music. And finally, they have determination that complements their creativity. It's seen by their dedication to sports and the extraordinary and independent spirit with which Swiss farmers work the land to earn a sustainable living.